something, right? Yeah, yeah. I need that water though. Let me up. I had to, I had to grab that water real quick. I might need it. You just never know. So, reading the Testament of Issachar, and I haven't read this in a while, so I'm gonna read it. It's in the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. If you were wondering, it's not in the Bible. It's not in the Old or New Testament. I wonder if it's in any Bibles. I don't know. But I know if I had my own, if I put together my own personal sacred holy book, these would be in mine, all 12 of them. Basically, before I read it, I'll try to sum it up real quick. So basically, it's all 12 sons of Jacob. They each wrote a book or had a book written before they died. Right here, it says in paragraph 1, the record of the words of Issachar, he called his sons and said to them, listen, or hearken, my children, to Issachar your father, give ear to my words, you who are beloved of the Lord. I was the fifth son born to Jacob, even the heir, even the higher of the mandrakes. For Reuben brought in mandrakes from the field, and Rachel met him and took them, and Reuben wept. And at his voice, Leah, my mother, came forth. Now these mandrakes were sweet-smelling apples. Apples. That's the first time I've heard it. Read it being translated as apples. I used to wonder what they were, but I wonder if that's true. If that's true, you know what I mean? Sweet-smelling apples, which the land of Aram produced on high ground below a ravine of water. And Rachel said, I will not give them to you, for they shall be to me instead of children. Now there were two apples, and Leah said, interesting. And Leah said, let it suffice you that you have taken the husband of my virginity. Will you also take these? And she said, behold, let Jacob be to you this night instead of the mandrakes of your son. And Leah said to her, boast not. Wow. Boast not. And vaunt not yourself, for Jacob is mine. Man, they was going at it right. Whew. It's not a good feeling to read. I tell you, you tell that wasn't good. But then it goes on to say, and I am the wife of his youth. But Rachel said, how so? For why would Rachel say that? She got married to him first. Duh, that's how. But anyway, Rachel said, how so? For to me was he first espoused. What? What is he talking about? Wait. No, that is right. But they didn't get married because he had to marry the older first. Then he had to wait to marry Rachel. Okay, so now I get what Rachel's saying. I'm thinking about who was married first. But he did fall for her first. And it was engaged first. So yeah, Rachel, she got a point. It makes sense. Okay. He was espoused. I had to think. I had to reflect. I had a moment. And for my sake, he served our father 14 years. And shall I do to you? I'm sorry, y'all. My camera is way my bad. Let me move my camera out of the way. You know what I mean? My camera, I be in the zone. You know what I mean? So what was I talking about? Blah, 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 blah. Shall I do to you because the craft and the subtlety of men are increased, and craft prospereth on the earth. And were it not so, you would not now see the face of Jacob, for you are not his wife. Wow. Rachel said, "The say where." Let me read this one more time. I read this before, but I don't remember this. At least not in this way. This translation is different. For sure. For sure. So it says, "And were it not so, you would not now see the face of Jacob, for you are not his wife. Ooh. But in craft were taken to him in my stead." Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that part. Not the first part, but I agree with that part. Okay, okay. Look at Rachel. Rachel got some. All right, there, Rachel. All right. Okay. Then it says, "And my father deceived me. He sure did. He all right. And removed me on that night, and suffered me not to see him. For had I been there, it had not happened thus." That's true. And Rachel said, "Take one mandrake, and for the other you shall hire him from me for one night." Okay. And then it says, "And Jacob knew Leah, and she conceived and bare me, and on account of the hire I was called Issachar." Oh boy, the story's crazy. All right, so where we at? I got an idea. How about I do this? No, not that. Now, yeah, we'll do that one. I don't like that one though. I like this one, but I keep forgetting to move my camera out the way. I'm gonna just try to remember. Um, then appeared to Jacob an angel of the Lord, saying, "Two children shall Rachel bear, for she have refused company with her husband, and have chosen continency, and had not Leah, my mother, given up the two apples for the sake of his company, she would have borne 8 sons. And for this thing she bare 6, and Rachel 2, because on account of the mandrakes the Lord visited her, for he knew her, for he knew her that for the sake of children she wished to company with Jacob, and not for lust of pleasure. For she went further, and on the morrow to gave up Jacob, that she might receive also the other mandrake." Mhm. Okay, so the other mandrake. Therefore, the Lord hearkened to Rachel because of the mandrakes. For though she desired them, she ate them not, but brought them to the priest of the Most High, who was at that time, and offered them up in the house of the Lord. When therefore I grew up, my children, I walked in uprightness of heart, and I became a husbandman for my parents and my brethren. And I brought in fruits from the field according to their season. And my father blessed me, for he saw that that I walked in simplicity, and I was not a busybody in my doings, nor malicious and slanderous against my neighbor. I never spoke against anyone, nor did I censure the life of any man, but walked in the simplicity of my eyes. Therefore, when I was 30 years old, I took to myself a wife, for my labor wore away my strength, and I never thought upon pleasure with women. But through my labor, my sleep sufficed me, and my father always rejoiced in my simplicity. For on whatever I labored, I offered first to the Lord, but the hands of the priests, by the hands of the priests, of all my produce and all first fruits, then to my father, and then took for myself. And the Lord increased twofold his benefits in my hands. And Jacob also knew that God aided my simplicity, for on every poor man and everyone in distress I bestowed the good things on the earth in simplicity of heart. And now listen to me, my children, and walk in simplicity of heart. For I have seen it, not it, for I have seen in it all that is well pleasing to the Lord. The simple covet not gold, defraud not his neighbor, long not after manyfold entities, delight not in varied apparel, do not picture to himself to live a long life, but only wait for the will of God, and the spirits of error have no power against him. For he cannot allow within his mind the thought of female beauty, but, not but, that he should not pollute his mind in corruption. No envy can enter into his thoughts, no jealousy melt away his soul, nor do he brood over gain with insatiate, desire. For he walk in uprightness of life, and behold all things in simplicity, not admitting in his eyes malice from the error of the world, lest he should see the perversion of any of the commandments of the Lord. Keep therefore the law of God, my children, and get simplicity, and walk in guilelessness, not prying over curiously into the commandments of God and the business of your neighbor, but love the Lord and your neighbor. Have compassion on the poor and weak. Bow down your back to husbandry, and labor in tillage of the ground. In all manner of husbandry, offering gifts to the Lord with thanksgiving, for with the first fruits of the earth did the Lord bless me, even as he blessed all the saints from Abel even until now. For no other portion is given to you than of the fatness of the earth, whose fruits are raised by toil. For our father Jacob blessed me with blessings of the earth and of first fruits. And Levi and Judah were glorified by the Lord among the sons of Jacob. For the Lord made choice of them, and to the one he gave the priesthood, to the other the kingdom. Them therefore obey and walk in the simplicity of your father. For to Gad have it been given to destroy the temptations that are coming on Israel. I know, my children, that in the last times your sons will forsake simplicity and will cleave to avarice, if I said that properly, and leaving guilelessness and not in, will draw near to malice, and forsaking the commandments of the Lord, will cleave to Beliar, and leaving husbandry will follow after their wicked devices, and shall be dispersed among the Gentiles, and shall serve their enemies. And do you therefore command these things to your children, that if they sin, they may the more quickly return to the Lord. For he is merciful and will deliver them, even to bring them back into their land. I am a husband, not a husband, sorry. I am 122 years old, and I know not against myself a sin to death, except my wife. I have not known any woman. I never committed fornication in the haughtiness of my eyes. I drank not wine, to be led astray thereby. I like that. I coveted not any desirable thing that was my neighbor's. Guile never entered in my heart. A lie never passed through my lips. If any man grieved, I wept with him, and I shared my bread with the poor. I never ate alone. I moved no landmark. In all my days, I wrought godliness and truth. I loved the Lord with all my strength. Likewise, also did I love every man, even as my own children. So you also do these things, my children. And every spirit of Beliar shall flee from you, and no deed of malicious men shall rule over you. And every wild beast shall you subdue, having with yourselves the God of heaven walking with men in simplicity of heart. And he commanded them that they should carry him up to Hebron and bury him there in the cave with his fathers. And he stretched out his feet and died, the fifth son of Jacob, in a good old age, and with every limb sound. and with strength unabated, he slept the eternal sleep. Interesting. That didn't take long. I wonder how long would the Testament of Zebulon be? On how far down? How far down? How far down? Oh, it goes on the 10. Don't seem too bad. Okay. I don't seem too bad. I don't seem too bad. No. Hmm. It is one part that I might want to get or highlight. Hmm. And to Leah and Rachel went at it, didn't it? That was different. That was different. 30 years old, I took to myself, oh, why? That part. I never spoke against anyone, nor did I censor the life of any man, but walked in the simplicity of my eyes. Therefore, when I was 30 years old, I took to myself a wife, for my labor wore away my strength. And I never thought upon pleasure with women, but through my labor, yeah, I want this part. Mm-hmm. So, assessment, that be line. Right. All right, let me get out of here. Peace be to the saints. See y'all next time. I'm gonna try to read this tomorrow, God willing. We'll see. If not, soon. You know what I mean?